Welcome to another episode of the House Huddle Podcast. Here are your hosts, Rob Schwartz and Justin Onayemi, two Bears fans who decided talking into a microphone was better than shouting at their television.
Woo! Welcome in to a victory now Wednesday, because we're a little bit behind here. But
Life
this
happens.
is the House Huddle episode 19, the Equanimous St. Brown episode. The reason it's a little bit behind too, though, is because episode 18 might just never air. It's going to be interesting. It's Justin and I did a live stream, and the recording of other people who were participating is a little bit quiet, so I got to play with it and see if I can adjust the volume settings. It's going to be a 4-part episode, though, if I release it. If I'm able to release it, it's going to be maybe a 2-part. We'll see. I might do first quarter, second quarter, and then third quarter, fourth quarter, or it might be every quarter individually. But, so here we are, House Huddle. Again, Rob Schwartz, and always with me, my co-host, Justin Onayemi. Welcome to Victory Wednesday.
Yeah. Oh, man. It was quite a game on Monday, and I don't think it was what anyone was expecting, so that even kind of made it even sweeter. But it was fun, live chatting and, with you, but also some listeners.
We had a Vikings fan chat.
Yeah, and we're okay with that.
Yeah.
Not with Packers, but
No.
that wouldn't have been okay. But it was fun. And after that game, I think we were planning on that just being our episode.
Yes.
And obviously, you just mentioned we're not sure if it's going to post or how it's going to work. But even so, I really wanted to get on and react and respond.
Yeah.
And then having a day to kind of even think more on it. I'm just excited. So we're putting out this episode as well.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about the game at New England where the Bears pulled off, I guess there's only one way to say it, a surprising victory. But it wasn't surprising in terms of how it happened. They gave back the lead. They took an early lead, gave it back, but then they dominated.
Yeah,
which was amazing.
That second half adjustment again.
Yes.
They have been fantastic at being able to make corrections, especially on defense, and mostly on defense, and being able to just stop other teams from scoring points. We talked about it. If it wasn't for the Velus Jones muff punt against the Commanders, they wouldn't have scored that touchdown most likely. And the Patriots had 0 points in the second half. It was.
Well, this game was different too, though, because they didn't need to make the adjustments. They came out adjusted.
Yes.
And so you're seeing game-to-game adjustments. Now, this was the mini bye week is what they kept calling it, because they played Thursday night. I hope this is the last time we mentioned that, because it didn't go well.
No.
And then you wait all the way till a Monday. But that extra time looked like it came out in extra preparation.
Yeah.
So what were some of your biggest takeaways? I don't know, and we're busy in life, man. So I don't know if you're going to do all 22 of Fields.
The plan was that I was going to. I pulled up the all 22 today.
That wasn't me putting pressure on you, by the way.
No. And then what ended up happening? So obviously, I'm a little bit behind with it being a Monday game.
True.
They still released it Tuesday late afternoon, but I was a little behind because of the Monday game. I got writing responsibilities for Bear Goggles, but on top of that, we had the Robert Quinn trade news today. So, I've already put 3 articles out there, and I've had to do editing and stuff. No excuses.
Check out our short on that.
Yes, we just have a short coming out. Should be up hopefully later tonight.
We should have switched spots. I tried to turn my hat around to make it look like this wasn't.
Yeah, I should have taken the
ago.
jacket off. I think I actually have a Bears shirt on underneath. It's inside out, but.
And then just a Bears tattoo on your chest, right?
Yeah, no, I just shaved it into the chest, the chest hair. Yeah.
Good way to go. Good way to go.
All right. Ding, ding.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. I just interrupted you in the whole wrong type of way.
No. That's what makes this podcast fun.
It's right? Organic.
It is. And we haven't had much time to talk outside of the conversations we had that night. And then we had to abruptly leave because it was late.
And I'll be honest, and maybe we tend to bite off more than we can chew on this podcast.
Yes.
And I feel like I was just locked in on doing that I don't actually feel like I was truly reflecting on what we were doing. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain.
Well, we were in the moment.
In the moment.
Honestly, I started listening to the Manning cast, and we are very similar in that
Okay.
sense. I mean, we don't have the, stories and stuff that they bring to the table. We don't have Barack Obama as our guest.
I'm working on
the
that.
show.
I'm working on that.
But I'm listening to them, and they're just talking about the game, basically how we were. Just, oh my gosh, oh, look at this run. Oh, look at that play. Oh, if he did this or he had that guy open. I mean, it was very similar to that.
Well, I don't want to. I just really don't want to use our explicit rating, but I gotta say it. Did you hear the Manning breakdown of the touchdown pass to Herbert?
I have not.
Oh, well then check it out. But all I'll say, and the reason I don't need the explicit version, is Peyton Manning basically got a boner talking about that play. Because right away, and he sees the game at a level that,
yes.
I don't know too many people on this planet that can see the game how he sees it. And right away, he's like, they're in cover 0, and, they called the exact right play. And, my favorite audible when I was playing was that wide receiver screen. In this case, it was actually to a running back because Herbert was lined up down on the bottom of the screen. And actually, we were commenting live when that was happening too.
Yep.
We said sometimes he motions into the backfield to join Fields.
Yep.
Oh, he's staying out there.
Yep.
And it had to come right away because what he was saying was the way that defense was loading up, you knew the blitz was coming. You knew they were bringing more guys than you could block. And this is Peyton Manning saying it. So to him, it's like how he breathes air.
Yes.
It's so natural.
Yes.
But it looked natural to Fields in that play too.
There was growth there from 2 standpoints. One, he did the audible. He did the check. He did that hot read.
Good. Good.
You could tell that he was, saw where the blitz packages were coming from. He needed to make protections. Called it. You saw him tapping his helmet, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then earlier in the game, they tried this exact same play, and it got batted down. So what does he do? He pump fakes and then changes his arm angle to get it right past the defender.
With not a lot of time.
No.
And he ended up getting really, really creamed. I think could have been a flag, should have been a flag, but
did he even know that there was a touchdown right away? Because you're in Foxborough. It's not like there's standing ovation like there would be in Soldier Field.
Well, he might have heard Braxton Jones screaming or something.
Maybe.
You see how happy he looked to be lead blocking and get to just crush was it a corner or a safety? I know it was a DB.
Yeah, it was a DB. I wasn't.
But that's just a beautiful play, beautiful execution. And, those are the things we need to see.
Yes.
Even if this had been an L, to see that's progress. But then to have it be a dominant victory, and I'm half joking. No, I'm 80% joking on this. But I was like, man, maybe the ghost of George Halas was coaching for the Bears or something. Because we know if the Bears had lost, Belichick would have passed George Halas in total wins.
Yeah.
And that just shouldn't happen against the Bears.
So there's a photo that's circulating out on Twitter. I want to say CHGO Sports was the one that I saw that posted on there. And it's basically, you can see Matt Eberflus's face, and it's a stone cold face as he's, in with Bill Belichick doing their little voice hug. And this kind of reminds me of the Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, where they're just like, fuck you.
Yeah, who knows?
There's the explicit version right there.
Good.
So
you one-upped me.
So they're, again, you see his face, and they're like, caption this photo. And my response was, not on my watch. Something like that.
There you go.
You're not getting Halas's record on my watch. Something like that.
Belichick said, and I don't have the exact quote, but you don't really need an exact quote for this. We were out-coached in all 3 phases.
What shocks me is he said that they were surprised, and everyone should be surprised. So prior to this, if I'm remembering the stats correctly, prior to this, they had only drawn up 9 design quarterback runs through weeks 1 through 7.
I thought I heard 13, but that's
then,
still low.
And then to that game, they had 12 in the one game.
Right.
Well, did you hear? And they pulled it from what I understand, according to Justin Fields. A lot of it was from following the Baltimore Ravens.
I can tell you one for sure. When he takes the snap and just immediately goes into a quarterback sweep.
Yeah.
And they had blockers out in front of him, a lane to go through. And it did make me excited because I've seen Baltimore run that. But what you then start to see Baltimore do is certain actions like that, and then a receiver goes up the seam, and then it actually ends up being a pass.
Yep.
I mean, that's the type of thing maybe now you see coming up against the Cowboys.
Yeah, that's
because you've put something on film
right
that they have to now prepare for. But just, again, that extra time to prepare, it helps. But the fact that they were willing to look at what another team does, a team that in the past has had some success against Belichick,
yes,
and to have enough modesty to go ahead and do that, as opposed to, a fellow that was here before. I have a system, and I'm going to run that system, even if it's not Mitchell Trubisky's strength, even if it's not the right thing to do for a rookie quarterback, Justin Fields. I think a good coach looks at what they have, looks at what they're going up against, and makes the right game plan to be successful.
That's typically Bill Belichick.
Exactly.
Typically Bill Belichick. He takes away your best attribute. And the running game is the Bears' best attribute. But I think
they did not take it away.
No, and I think that little quirk of those design runs for Justin Fields, and he even said at halftime they made adjustments in order to stop it, but they couldn't execute.
Interesting.
So he got out-coached, and they got outplayed.
Yeah.
That's what it was. And maybe, I keep bringing up the CHGO people, but Will DeWitt and Nicholas Mariano, they did their pregame show Thursday before the game, and one of the things, or Friday before the game, and one of the things that Will DeWitt brought to the table was pride. Who's going to show up and have more pride? And he brought up the record about Hallis and how Bill Belichick does have a lot of, he's constantly
Respect
talking about
the game
and the history, right?
Yeah.
But Matt Eberflus is kind of the same way. He kind of comes from that same mold. He's constantly talking about the history of the Bears and, having Dick Butkus in his office and showing him the Monsters in the Midway stuff that he has in there. And maybe the Bears just came out and had more pride. I don't know.
So I want to bring this up, and I know this is a Bears podcast. I try to stick to the Bears, but this is just something I really want to hear your input on. In this game, Mac Jones was returning from injury. Now, there was talks even before the game that both him and Zappi might play, and, I didn't know what that meant. But then, as game time came up, it was very clear Mac Jones was starting.
Yep.
And immediately I said to you, I don't know about his mobility. He even had the brace on.
Yeah.
But he had a few runs on the Bears. He was running better than the running backs. So mobility didn't seem to be the issue.
I mean, he had a good way of putting his legs up.
Yeah, he got that high kick. Got that high kick working for him. Looked like one of the Rockettes or something.
Well, when we saw that play live, and I'm going to...
Did he make contact?
Oh, he kicked him.
Oh, was it intentional?
And I was like, oh, it's his groin. I thought he tore his groin, right?
I thought it was one of those where, and we talked about in the best case, worst case scenario, Brisker just being that guy that's going to take someone's head off.
Yeah.
You would draw a flag. So I thought it was because he tried to stop so fast that he
And when we were watching live, I didn't catch it. But all of these things online later, I mean, it almost looks like he hit the ground and then his leg came up because of it. But there's another play earlier in the game where he clearly also...
Is he like Grayson Allen of the NFL?
That's what people are saying now. He's going to be a dirty player, and you kind of see a smirk on his face a little bit after he hits...
It was easy to see the smirk later when he was on the bench not getting any play time. So that's what I wanted to say is we know, and every team has their own history, their own story, where they're at in the progression, of that particular coach. And Belichick is obviously a legendary coach who's made his
fame lock.
Of course. So we can't draw too many comparisons. However, I do want to draw the comparison of Justin Fields to Mac Jones because they're same draft, just a few picks apart. Here in Chicago, and I don't know, Bears Twitter and just Bears fandom can be weird. We're hypercritical of Fields. Mm-hmm. But we still know this is his opportunity. Win, lose, good, bad, this is his opportunity to show us what he has.
Yes.
I would imagine, since Mac Jones is from that same draft, you'd have a similar feel in New England. And yet, hit the bench for a guy who's a rookie, fourth-round rookie. I mean, that seemed like a very permanent move. Now, Mac Jones might come back next week and start.
He saw 70% of the
Okay.
starting snaps this week, and they've already declared him the starter for this week.
So was this just a wake-up, like, hey, wake up, or injury tweak, or he didn't like that he was playing dirty.
I'm almost. I mean, let's not think that.
Well, Belichick, yeah.
Belichick doesn't have any problems with anything happening if it means you're going to win.
That's true.
Just don't get caught.
Or do get caught.
Or get caught after the fact, and it doesn't matter because you still get your titles. But yeah, I think it's more. I think it was kind of a situation where they were thinking, we're going to ride the hot.
We need a spark,
right? Like, yeah, we saw this guy put up over 300 yards,
and right away he did hit 2 plays and just put them up 14-10.
He hit 1.5 plays because that throw was
so
off the mark.
Remember they showed the yellow square, a rectangle, because it was like that whole half of the field and about 30 yards. And if it lands anywhere in that spot,
and it was almost out of it.
So can we just talk about that play real quick? I don't want to go deep into the X and O's or anything. Our immediate response was we thought Eddie Jackson blew the coverage horribly.
Yeah.
Later, I heard that it was it Kyler Gordon's coverage?
I don't remember who the defensive back was in there.
It was a corner, though.
But it was in the corner, and it was, one was playing zone, and one thought it was man.
Okay.
And it was the corner who was at fault.
Okay. Now,
and Eddie Jackson
I did not like that Eddie Jackson, when he ran over and saw the guy on the ground.
Yes.
I didn't think he went over and touched him fast enough. By the time he went to touch him, the guy had gotten up, and it was a touchdown, and we agreed that it was the right call.
Right.
And somebody, I don't remember who, I don't remember if it was on the broadcast or later in reflecting on it, wanted to give him credit for being like, oh, and he was smart, like the hits principle. He knew to go tag him. I'm like, did he? But anyway,
he knew, but you're right. He pulled up.
Right.
In game time, I didn't notice it, and you did. You called it out right away as we were watching, and it's like, why is he slowing down?
Right, because it bothers my sensibilities, because it makes me think that, and he's not a young player, but it makes me think that they're back to their college days, because in college they're down.
Yeah.
So, but he's far removed from that.
Yeah.
So anyway, I teased something off the air that I wanted to bring up in the podcast and get your true.
I was curious if you've already brought it up yet. Okay.
No.
All right.
God, this is way better.
I'm so intrigued by this.
Okay. So I'm asking you to guess for 2.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you 3 guesses.
Okay.
But I want you to guess who were the 2 rookies who had the most impressive performance for the Bears on Monday night. And you get 3 guesses because I'm asking you for 2.
You're asking me for 2.
And think about that game, though. I mean, think about it.
Yeah, well, so Kyler Gordon and Jaquan Brisker both had interceptions.
Okay. Yeah, just talk it out and then tell me who your official guesses are.
Dominique Robinson had one hell of a game. I would not give it to Braxton Jones.
But he had that play where he was, woo! He was just into it, right?
He also got bull rushed way too much.
Okay.
We talked about that.
Fair enough. Keep going. Talk yourself through it, and then give me your
I'm trying
official
to think
guesses.
of the other rookies that are starting. Bayless Jones did not do anything. Is that just going to be a waste of a pick?
No, too early for that.
All right.
And even they did put him out there again on kick return. Right. So it's that's their way of saying, I'm not going to give up on you.
And it's different.
And I just think the game didn't present itself for him. But
N'Keal Harry was out there making an impact.
And that's part of the reason, though.
True.
You wanted to get him involved, and they did right away. So
I guess why are you not doing that with your 3rd-round rookie?
All right. So clearly he wasn't one of them. So you can move on. You forgot what we're doing here?
Or? No. I'm still thinking. I'm stalling as I'm trying to think of other rookies that played.
Well, don't dig too deep into the chest because I'm asking for the 2 best performers.
Treston Ebner didn't do anything.
Okay.
I'm running through the draft.
There's a play we should come back and talk about, too, at the end.
They had no 4th-round pick. 5th-round pick. Braxton Jones
you're digging deep,
and Dominique. I mean, I'm just going to go not Bayless. I almost screwed that. I'm just going to go with Jaquan Brisker and Kyler Gordon, but you're probably going to tell me Dominique Robinson's one. So I'm going with the 2 corners. You tell me if I got at least one of them.
So you want to know if you got 0 right, 1 right, or both right?
I have to have at least 1.
You have 0 right.
No. How?
The 2 rookies that I was most impressed with after watching that game is Matt Eberflus and Ryan Poles. And Ryan Poles.
Okay.
Because
I thought you were going to say Luke Getsy, because he also should
and
be
Getsy.
included.
Well, but Poles. And it's for the exact reason of what you just said. That mental exercise you just went through. Where you could really make an argument that Brisker was one of the best players out on the field on Monday night.
Has been all year.
You could really make an argument that with Kyler Gordon getting his first interception and just playing pretty well that he could, and Dominique Robinson. Like, you could have made arguments for all of those. And these are all guys that Poles got. Now you just acquire a new pick with Robert Quinn. You know, the thing that always has bothered me in recent times with the Bears, even when we were kind of in the middle or upper part of the NFL, still not winning any titles, is you couldn't look at sustained success because you couldn't draft.
Mm-hmm.
And when you can't draft, you chase your mistakes with free agent money. Here's the thing. I'm not saying because of one draft, we know he can draft. But it's looking pretty good.
And we can't say that because Brian Pace had a couple drafts that looked
top
promising.
To bottom like this?
Looked promising. The draft with, I mean, at the time, Mitchell Trubisky, Eddie Jackson.
Well, you've already lost me, but go ahead.
I know, but like,
no,
at the time,
what he gave up and all that, that's
sure,
you don't look at that as a good draft because of something like that. But go ahead.
Eddie Jackson and Tariq Cohen, right? All of them were in the same draft. Like 2017, first, third, and fourth. Like, I mean, he had hit on like certain guys. At least it looked promising at the time, but then
okay. And like I said, we don't know all these guys are going to be starters or Pro Bowlers.
I can't tell you for sure Braxton Jones is going to make it as the starting left tackle, right? Because to be honest, I think they need to upgrade there. I can't tell you for sure that Dominique Robinson is going to be a sustained defensive end.
And you already mentioned that you're worried about Velus Jones.
And I'm worried about Velus Jones. But I am not worried about Brisker and Gordon.
Right. So he may have hit very well on Brisker and Gordon. Oh, I think Dominique Robinson.
Trenton Gill.
I'm telling you. Well, because you were saying Trubisky. And remember, they gave up all that to go up one spot.
Well, that was
he was acquiring new picks and hitting them.
Right.
That we think he's hitting them.
They went from having 5 to what?
11?
11? Yeah, 11 picks.
So, and that shows his mentality. And we talked about on our short how he makes a tough decision, but he makes the right decision, or what he thinks is the right decision. And I know you wanted Pickens, and that's not me bringing that back. But he said his board was Gordon and was Brisker, and he stuck to it. He didn't buckle to the pressure of whatever. So now he's going to have another draft class. He's going to have $120, $130 million, and hopefully you're not spending that on to fix mistakes.
Right.
You're targeting exactly what you think you need. So, like, to me, I am so impressed with where he's at, and it demonstrated itself on Monday night.
I am going to be very curious where he goes with the first round pick. I actually just looked at draft prospects.
But we don't even know what pick that is, right?
No,
it makes a difference if that's 5th pick or if it's 17.
As of right now, they have the 14th pick.
Okay.
Just before they beat the Patriots, they were at 10. Okay. A lot of people are predicting that they're going to still be in the top 10 for picks. I don't think they're going to be in the top 5.
We both had them at 8 and 9.
Yes. I don't think they're going to be in the top 5. There's 2 defensive players that, in my mind, are worth taking, even if you don't need them.
I'm shocked that you would say that, but go ahead.
They're very and one of them's a defensive tackle who could be,
right.
I mean, he's not going to be Aaron Donald, but he could be the centerpiece of that defense. Justin Jones is having a decent year, but he could be the focal point.
That's another reason I was excited by Poles. That's your free agent signing, and he's come up, I think, pretty big.
And not huge amounts of money.
Right.
So now, in my mind, if you can't get one of those 2, which I don't think you'll get, there's at least 2 quarterbacks are going to go within that first 5 picks, most likely, right? Bryce Young, CJ Stroud. But it could even be 3 if people get crazy.
Well, and people do get crazy.
And then guys might trickle down, right? However, some of the teams that are up there, like the Jaguars, they're not going to be taking somebody. They still have Trevor Lawrence, right? The Lions could be looking at quarterback. Jared Goff's not the answer.
They're just a quarterback away.
Always. But in my mind, I feel like you either have to go wide receiver or offensive line. And I'm okay with either or.
Yeah, that's fine.
But if he goes in some weird, crazy way, and hear me out for just 1 second. I am a huge Ryan Poles supporter. I know I keep talking about wanting George Pickens on this team, and he would look fantastic. But I still would defend Ryan Poles' decisions because, like you said, he stuck to his board. I love that. And Kyler Gordon, I keep saying, George Pickens is winning the Kyler Gordon debate, right? I keep saying. I even threw myself under the bus. That I was a little bit drunk. Threw myself under the bus on Twitter with our account saying, Who's winning the George Pickens debate now? F you, Rob.
Well, because he made sure to one-hand the interception, too.
Yes. So, again, it's not that I don't like the picks. I want to see I want to see an evaluation of Justin Fields to know that he's the guy, and I'm struggling to see that because he doesn't have weapons around him that he needs.
So I'm on the side of, and I said it earlier in this podcast, that a GM's focus is on titles.
Yes.
And if he didn't think there was a receiver or an O-line guy to take that would get the team closer to that in the 5-year plan, then it makes sense to take a guy like Kyler Gordon and a guy like Brisker. Because, and I said it then, and I'm saying it now, and I think we saw it on Monday night, those guys are helping Justin Fields. Every time you force a 3-and-out, because right off the bat, what got the Bears going was because we didn't know who won the toss.
Yes.
And you remember in the other game where I forget what opponent it was, one of the ones that just...
It was Washington, wasn't it?
No. Giants. Anyway, one of the opponents was like, yeah, we won the toss. Everyone defers, but we're just going to take the ball and just stomp you out.
Yeah.
And they did.
It wasn't the Commanders.
No, it was one of the teams that was more dominant.
It had to have been the Giants, but they weren't dominant at the time.
We didn't know who won the toss, and New England got the ball first. So, the way this talk was going about how this game might go, you could totally have envisioned them marching down the field, taking off 8 minutes of the clock, running all over the Bears, which I think is going to be a good segue to my other rookie who who had a good performance that night, the coaching of Eberflus. But that's not what happened. It was an instant 3-and-out. Bears got great field position, and then they came in and did what they had to do.
Put up 3 points. I said, I don't need 7 on this drive. I needed 3, and that's what they did. I think it wasn't until the Bears' 3rd or 4th drive where they finally started kind of back, and they still moved the ball. Yeah.
But, a good defense is going to help your quarterback. Now, I get what you're saying, and some people feel what Poles did is closer to malpractice in how they talk about it. That's not me at all.
That sounds like Jeremy Layton. I love you, Jeremy.
No.
But that's what it sounds like.
Well, you had a particular person in mind. I did not have a particular person in mind. A lot of people are talking about that.
Sure.
And I don't see it that way. I want to see what he can do with another draft class. We already see he's willing to deal, both in what he did last offseason and dealing Quinn during this season. He's going to have tons of money. And then we see what they build. It could be a very promising look by next year. Because you're right. I actually would love to see them draft either a receiver or an O-line. But guess what? Regardless, I think receiver-wise, maybe you're trading for one. You're probably getting one in free agency, and you're drafting one.
Yeah, the problem, though, is
free agency is weak. It's weak, but...
It's weak. But that's why I think I'm leaning... I would take best player available at either position, wide receiver and offensive line. And I don't care if it's tackle or guard, because you need both. Because Cody Whitehair, in my opinion, is probably on his way out. He's probably going to be a cap casualty. Mm-hmm. Thought he could be this year. Glad that they didn't, even though he ended up getting hurt. But you have a better offensive line free agency class than you do a wide receiver free agency class. And it's not great either, but it's at least better. So I could see them spending big there and using draft capital on receiver. But either way, I don't care. I just want to see one of those two positions.
So I'm not well versed enough to know not only who the exact free agents are, but who might have options and things like that, or who might be in the last year of a deal who you could trade for.
Right.
Because maybe they trade for a number 1 receiver,
Well,
sign a number 3 receiver, and draft a guy. And then you don't have to be a guy in the first round. Maybe it's a guy in the second.
Denver keeps having the season they're having.
Jeudy?
Is Jerry Jeudy an option, right? I don't know. You're only one more game before the trade deadline, so it might not be possible. But
well, and my point is, he's shown the patience. He's shown the stick to my gut. He's shown he seems to have a plan, even in how he did his coaching hire, which is the other rookie that I thought had an amazing performance on Monday, which is Matt Eberflus. Very well prepared. Had the extra mini bye or whatever. But there are coaches, good ones too, who don't always do well after a bye. I think Andy Reid is famously bad after the bye, right?
How about Matt Nagy?
Oh, well, I said good. I said good ones. He's a great quarterback coach, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Haven't you seen this?
Oh, they're fantastic.
I mean, his quarterback's just throwing for 400 yards, and but I thought Matt Eberflus had a very impressive game. We talked about it, week-to-week adjustments, the modesty to borrow from a team that, hey, Justin Fields can run some of the stuff Lamar's running. Let's put it into our system. Not I have a system. It's about me, and I know he's a defensive coach, but my point is, he's managing this team.
Yes, he does.
Yeah,
to a degree. Like, of course, it's his.
He hired.
It's his head on the line more than it is anyone else's. Like, Luke Getsy is not going to be the guy to get fired based on what's happening right now. It would be both or probably just Eberflus. Like, not right. I mean, it would be both.
Right.
Plain and simple.
And then I don't know if you caught his press conference, his like in the locker room,
like the post-game
speech to the kids.
They're kids.
To him, they're kids.
They're kids to me.
We're
probably older than all of them.
We're getting up there, but they're men. But
I'm even older than Robert Quinn.
Yeah, it's funny when you hear athletes talked about as if they're like have walkers, and then it turns out you're a good 10 years older than them. But no, but what he was saying in that locker room. And I get it. He's new, so like you would hope there's buy-in and a connection, but you could see it, you could hear it. And some people make fun of the hits principle. Oh, it's college type. That's a high school mentality. Well, he gets his players focused. He gives them the right things to think about and the right things to leave out of your mind.
My biggest takeaway from the hits principle is not necessarily the acronym and the whole rah-rah nonsense behind it. It's the grading. Like, they literally grade their players in the way that you would see, and in a better way than Pro Football Focus does, because they grade them and then it adjusts. Like, okay, and this is what happened.
They also know all the calls.
Correct.
What
that's
the
why
assignment would have been.
That's why it's better, because they're not guessing.
Right.
They know whose assignments. They know who ran the wrong. They know that Justin Fields threw it to the wrong spot. Like, they know these things.
Right.
Where a lot of times PFF, they're guessing in those regards. Right. But it's also what caused Tevin Jenkins to not play, because he had a poor practice. Like, I mean, so there's like things that they have
but
to
maybe that lit his fire.
It could be.
And that's a guy who, even earlier in the preseason, we were wondering about his motivation and things.
Or maybe it's to the point where they realize, look, the motivation is just playing the game. Because maybe it wasn't enough to get him fired up. Maybe it's just, some people are not motivated by that stuff.
He said something in that post-game speech that I then took into my way of thinking of life and how I operate in my role. He said, execution, know what to do, know how to do it. I mean, to make something like that so simple, and then say,
sound profound,
and then say, and I want you to do it for the guy next to you.
Yeah,
you owe it to him to execute what you're supposed to do. Yeah. We've been over this. We're not going to hurt ourselves. Which again, that's not been a Bears trend over the years.
We've been talking about
hurting themselves
all season, and this is why I literally put money on them winning more than 6.5 games.
You didn't put money on the game.
I didn't.
If you guys do ever hear episode 18, you'll hear Rob constantly.
Was a rough day. But I did drink the Kool-Aid, and now I have put money on them against Dallas.
I was going to ask you, grab that plus 10. It's already coming down.
It's only 9.5 for me now.
Well,
I already missed the 10. It was 10.5 when it opened. So it's moved the whole point.
Okay.
But I not only did I put money on them covering.
Oh.
I put money on the money line.
You should. The odds.
Because it's plus 350.
My goodness.
And we're not talking big money. I put $20 on it.
I know. I figured. But hey.
I didn't bet my house.
Your wife doesn't listen to this anyway.
No. Honestly, so in the live stream, my wife did jump in on our
what's it called?
Our Twitter Spaces. Okay, so she jumped in. You could see, and she actually told me, I wish you didn't know who that I was on. She was spying on me because I was screaming so loud in the basement that I guess it scared my son, who woke up from a nightmare.
Yikes.
So she was more mad and trying to figure out why I was screaming.
Well, and our wives are very, very good friends. So when I got home, my wife was all over me saying that I did that to your son, and I really don't think I was yelling much.
No,
I don't know if I want to play back the 3-hour.
It was me.
footage.
It was me getting mad about the fact that I didn't play or didn't pivot and changed it, and the fact that I didn't put money on the game.
But you would have been mad if. Well, you even said that had you done that, the outcome of the game would have been different. Which I know.
I'm less mad about the game, the money on the game, because I do recall, and I realized it the next day. I went to my phone. I couldn't find a bet on it, and I think that they pulled it because they didn't know who the quarterback was going to be for New England.
So they pulled the whole game, though?
There wasn't anything available on PointsBet.
But
yeah,
they had the Bears 8.5 points underdogs
earlier, and it was
my point is
gone when I went to go bet it.
I know, but I'm saying I doubt you go from 8.5 to we're taking it off the books.
It wasn't
based on Mac Jones and Zappy.
It wasn't there. I searched Chicago Bears.
I trust you on that. I'm just saying that's odd to me. I mean, I definitely know
it could be that I just didn't know how to use the app because I've only used it 5 times.
All right. We'll go with that.
Okay.
So I loved that I was able to fool you and trick you with that rookie question. I kind of figured I could, but I didn't want to discuss it pre-show because then it would have taken the fun out of it.
You got me.
All right, that was a little spin. So we're going to take a break and then come back with a brief preview of Bears at Cowboys on a short week.
Going to be a tough one.
All right, Hallis Huddle listeners, we are back with our Equanimous St. Brown episode of the Hallis Huddle. Hopefully you know that that's the 19th episode. I'm one of the co-hosts, Justin Oniemi, here with Rob Schwarz. And in the first half, we really enjoyed talking about the Monday night game between your beloved Bears and the New England Patriots. Rematch of Super Bowl 20. That's right.
46-10.
Yeah, we wanted the same score, but it wasn't going to quite work out. And, we forgot to talk about it, but that kneel down at the end, do you want to go into it or just...
I mean, we have 2 different takes on it. I'm at the point.
You and I do?
Yeah, I wanted them to play for the points.
My gut reaction was I wanted them to play also. But now I've come around. But I didn't tell you that I came around on that.
No, but I even said to kick the field goal, and I think at that point you were like,
well, at that point,
matter.
I don't think march out your field goal unit. I mean it was weird. Because in my head, I was also thinking, what would Belichick do? He'd go right down your throat and put another 7 up, wouldn't he?
But he also respectfully took a knee when there was still time on the clock. Not a lot, but enough.
No, they had to take the knee after the Bears did on 4th down.
To me, it looked like it was like a showmanship.
No, so in an NBA game, when you're beating a team by 15
and you just dribble it out,
there's 27 seconds. You dribble it out. You take your 24-second violation.
Throw it into the ceiling.
And then they get it. They don't then get the ball and shoot a 3. They just hold the ball damn, we lost.
I don't know. See, I would just chuck a 3.
Here's what I'm mad about. It's twisted, but I think there's some reality to this. The Bears all coming into this game, take away this game because they broke a lot of my worries in this game. Now, we'll see what the next game brings, and that's what we're going to talk about in a few minutes here.
I mean, Justin Fields still did not throw for over 200 yards.
Okay, but he ran for 80 plus.
Yeah, it was 251 total.
Okay,
him, so.
Here's what I'm thinking, though. We joked on this show, I think we coined a term, the dread zone.
Yes, we did.
Now, that's going to come up as a trip to the red zone that you did not score a touchdown, you did not get a field goal, you had a turnover on downs. Now, maybe we'll remember and go, okay, take away 1 or whatever. But here's where I'm not quite joking. That stuff goes on to Justin Fields' record, if you will. And, Roquan's going to have to negotiate his own contract because he doesn't have an agent. But they look at statistics. Yeah. They look at efficiency. They look at these things. And then to just have given it away. Now, I understand it was the gentlemanly thing to do. And I think Eberflus just seems like that type of dude. So that's what they did. And Fields always says, I don't care about the stats. I don't care about the stats.
That's what he says.
But
he's going to care about the stats when it comes to contract.
And I don't know what stat does actually make the difference. Or if hopefully, that's true. Winning games. And they always say quarterback's favorite play is the kneel down. Yeah. I don't know on that play. Because here's the thing. Why didn't you kneel on 1st, 2nd, or 3rd then?
Right.
If, whatever. So I wasn't planning on getting us that. I said every time I lead in, we go on a tangent and we don't actually get to what we're saying. So what we were going to say is Bears had a great performance on Monday night, which means they're going to be facing the Dallas Cowboys on a short week. The line right off the bat, I thought it was Bears plus 10. You said it was even 10.5 in some places.
Yep.
And you wanted to pounce on that.
Yep.
Tell us why.
Yeah, because the Bears defense keeps them in it. I mean, and the fact that even on offense, we've talked about this all season, the lack of pre-snap penalties, the even in-game penalties are holding. Down. Like, I can't tell you how many times a drive would be stalled under the last regime because of a stupid penalty.
Even after a good play.
Yes. A couple good plays. They'll put 2 to 3 together, go 30, 40 yards, and then put themselves right back out of field goal range. It was so frustrating, and you're not seeing that here. Now, the thing that you see is Justin Fields taking stupid sacks instead of throwing the ball away, which still happened in this game, instead of staying in field goal range. But that's a whole different
Is that a stat thing?
I mean,
some quarterbacks, I wonder, like they don't want that incompletion. You're the guy that always, I need my guy to be 60%.
He clearly doesn't care.
What if he hadn't taken
the 50s?
But what if he hadn't taken? He took 4 sacks in that game, and one for sure he could have thrown away.
You taking sacks, or you're throwing the ball away?
I'm saying when you actually break down stats, there are some stats that hurt people, and I'm not saying in the moment. I don't know. For him, I think it's more like he always thinks he can escape.
Oh, for sure.
But, like, there was that one, he's right at the sideline, which means he knows he's well out of the pocket.
And almost fumbled the ball away.
And couldn't escape.
Yeah.
And you see so many other quarterbacks just go, and I actually don't like that you could do that.
Right, but you're outside the tackles.
Right, you can. It's within the rules, and you don't take the hit.
Right.
It's the smart play. And we want to see him make smart plays. Now, that being said, probably his best game since he's been a Bear.
The Minnesota game I still think was better.
For Fields?
Overall. Yeah, I do. I think he played just as good.
There were some weird throws in this game where, and I know it was raining or windy or both.
And it was the short ones, where he
missed
the
Mooney
ball
on one really badly. Just threw it 3 yards to the left.
I'm hoping it was a grip thing because the ball would just flutter.
Even the one to Herbert, which sidearmed, came out fluttering, wobbly.
I want to go back and see how he grips the laces on the ball. I don't know.
See now. So it turns out he's gotten this far in his whole pro career, but it turns out he actually doesn't know how to hold a football.
I'm just wondering if he does it differently on the short reads, where he's trying to get it out quick.
Yeah, good
and
point.
maybe it's a center snap exchange issue, right?
Well, he's back with his guy, Mustafa.
I know.
By then, he was back to Mustafa.
All right, but
totally gave him a pass because
there's nothing we can do about it now because he's back, and now it sounds like Lucas Patrick might be out for.
They were not a good duo as a center left guard combo, and so at least we won't see that.
Yes, Schofield.
Shout out to Schofield.
Yeah,
didn't notice him.
Didn't notice him, and that's good.
That's a good thing for an O-lineman.
I wouldn't have a problem noticing you if it's all for positive things, but typically, if you don't notice an offensive lineman, it's a good thing.
So this is us, not breaking down the game and moving on to the next week. Yeah. I'm bad at transitioning.
No. I think it's a good transition because, again, we're talking about how responsible and how disciplined they are, and they've been in every single game outside of the Packers game. And even the Packers game, it was very close until all of a sudden it got away from them.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't see. I mean, Dallas has a decent offense, and it's hard to predict with Dallas because Dak got hurt the first week. He'd been out. You saw Cooper Rush. Not the same type of quarterback, but they were able to just do enough to win. Dak came in last week, struggled in the beginning. And then I think they finished with 24 points. I think it was 24-6 was the final score. But
Bears are better than Detroit.
Exactly. In all facets.
In all facets.
I mean, in the beginning of the year, Detroit looked like an offensive juggernaut. And it seemed like it was literally just Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for him, I don't know where they would be. But I don't think that the Bears can put up 33 points every week.
Certainly I don't listen to Dallas talk radio or anything like that.
Plus it's Mike McCarthy.
When I just told you I'm loving what I see out of Eberflus and Getsy and Alan Williams and their ability to adjust and they outcoached Bill Belichick last week.
Yeah.
Not saying if that game happens 10 more times that would happen every time.
No.
But they're doing their jobs, and so that should come out. What was my right before that?
I don't know. I said Mike McCarthy and I threw you off.
Yeah, you threw me way off. Of that. Oh, I know what it was. I said I don't listen to Dallas talk radio.
Yes.
Okay. But I was hearing from national people like, oh, Dak's going to come back because it'll be nice for him to come back and just face two bad teams. And they just lumped in, he gets to play against Detroit and he gets to play against the Bears. And I'm thinking, okay, record-wise, they might not be whatever. But, like, do you want to face the Bears' defense necessarily? Yeah. Like, coming into the game, we were very worried about their rush defense specifically.
Correct.
And
yes.
They stuffed the run, which goes back to they're making adjustments, saying, we're going to coach you up, and we want you to execute. Do what you're supposed to do every play.
Yeah.
That's the type of mentality, if you don't shoot yourself in the foot, that you can keep games close. So to just outright on their best performance, right after their best performance, to just have them a double-digit dog. Now, they did fumble the ball 5 times in that game and recovered all 5. A couple of those bounced the other way. Maybe we're having a very different conversation.
I mean, that's true. One of them was on that pitch to
Montgomery.
To Montgomery. Just dropped it.
Came right back to him.
One was, off field's knee. It was like an awkward thing.
Yeah, true.
One was on that sack and then it went out of bounds.
Right. So that's 3 of the 5.
Yeah.
And I can't think of.
I can't. Wasn't there another botch snap too?
No, a punt.
Yes.
It was Pettis.
Yes.
And boy.
Yeah, but that's
4 of the 5. I don't know what the 5th one was. But that's the kind of thing we're saying they don't do, is my point.
Right.
And had it bounced differently, then there they are doing, here go the Bears again, can't get out of their own way.
I will say, though,
from a coaching standpoint, those things have been cleaned.
Yes. And they coach it, too. Like, they coach getting back on the ball. Like,
true.
That is a thing for them. So it could be that they're seeing what we think is luck, and maybe it is a little bit more skill than we're giving them credit for.
That's fair.
It wasn't working out earlier in the year, right? Like, because we were complaining about
They were practicing it too much in games, though, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, let's just muff this punt, because we're good at recovering these things.
We're going to make it look like there's an issue, and then take off. It's like in that Little Giants movie where, like, they just, like, fumble the ball on purpose, and then the lineman picks it up and then starts running for a touchdown. But no, I don't know. It's just one of those things. And again, the rush defense looks vastly improved, and I'm not going to say that it's fixed.
Well, and I don't think Zeke is the Zeke of old.
But Zeke might not even be playing. He had a really bad helmet to knee injury, and they're saying it's a sprained knee. I think everything came back negative, so it's
they
not
like their backup in Pollard, but now he's getting your starting load.
Right. So they might be down in that part. Their offensive line's been beat up. They got Jason Peters. We know him. Okay. He's now their left tackle.
All these calendars with all these dates circled.
Right. I just think that, okay, again, I put money on the money line just because.
Why not?
It was plus 350.
And we were.
How do you not?
Yeah,
and
on a Bears high.
I was on a Bears high, and I was kicking myself for not figuring it out last week.
Which is the wrong thing to do when betting, by the way.
For sure.
You never chase the other one.
You never bet with your emotions. But logically, when I was looking at the spread, that was the logical one. And I know, like, in my heart, I'm making a poor choice with the money line, but it was only a $5 bet.
Right.
The other 15 is on them winning.
What we just talked about.
Yes. Just
they've
cover
stayed
the
in
spread.
every game.
Cover the spread.
That's too big of a spread.
That's it. I don't need them to win. I mean, I do want them to win, obviously.
Of course.
And I think they have a chance. So here's what they need to do. Their keys to this game is stopping Micah Parsons. And I think what they need to do is, honestly, and we kind of saw it with the Giants, you need to run at him. Or not necessarily at him, but you need to just, you know where he is at all times, and you design runs that keep him out of the play. Because he's going to be in his face constantly. That inside pressure that we've been seeing all season, that could be a problem. That stunt blitz that we saw from Roquan Smith where he got the sack, those are things Micah Parsons does like that.
When you said run at him, I don't know if you saw the game. It was the game of the week last week, and because the Bears weren't playing, I was more locked in. But Chiefs, Niners, and McCaffrey's now with the 49ers, so there's a lot of hype on that game. But one of the things the Chiefs were doing with McCole Hartman either the jet sweep 3-inch throw, but they actually handed him a couple of them. So he got his first and second rushing touchdown of his career. But they were running those right at Bosa.
Yeah.
And Bosa was playing them correctly, but the play is past you before you can react.
Yep.
And then it's not just running that play, it's also having in your playbook or in your scheme the counter to that play.
Right, because eventually he's going to just step back.
Exactly. And so this is something we talked about in our break, and I'm going to bring it up for the podcast, but Bears are coming up on the game at Dallas on a short week. And immediately when you phrase it that way, it's kind of seen as a negative, and your guys have one less day of rest is kind of how it's looked at. But you actually said that's one less day Dallas has to prepare. And the Bears are new. This is a new regime. Getsy's new at calling plays, and we think he's done a good job. Even in some of the games they've lost, we think he's called some good games. We saw what they did in the mini-bye. We're going to borrow plays from Baltimore's playbook. Who knows what other types of things they've been working on or thinking about. And then the counter to that move.
Yeah.
So, how do you see possibly that playing out in this game?
Yeah, so, we kind of touched on it, I believe, in the first half of this, or maybe it was during pre-show or break. I don't remember exactly, but, they're going to build off of the plays that they just installed. So like you said, you have that play where, Justin Fields does that little sweep to the outside, and they had, I think it was Equinemius St. Brown. Shout out to this episode, who was out there as a lead blocker, right? I think he got in front of, he ran a route, stopped that guy, took the guy with him, but then also stopped the other guy. So he almost blocked two people at once,
right? Which
gave Fields the end around. But now, maybe you have Cole Kmet coming off also on the inside, doing a little, corner route or something.
On one of the bootlegs, it wasn't naked. Kmet was like a personal blocker.
Yes.
But then could he release?
Yes.
Could that be the tweak?
If there's nothing there.
There was another design run, and you said coming into the game, they probably ran more design runs in this game against the Patriots than they had all season.
Yeah.
But another one of them, and I'm not 100% on all the details of this, but I think, hopefully you remember it better than I do. I want to say both Herbert and Montgomery were in, and were flanking him on both sides. Does this sound familiar?
Sounds familiar.
And I think he faked a handoff to Montgomery going maybe to the right, and then followed Herbert through the hole as a lead blocker, or maybe it was the opposite. But
and some of those inside
these
runs,
plays all have a second and a third option off of them.
Yeah, they're RPOs,
and they were new,
RPOs,
right? Multiple actions, options,
right? Just
so
run options.
These were all things that New England clearly didn't see coming. Now Dallas is seeing it with one less day to prepare for it, and not knowing what's the wrinkle off of each of these.
And that's the key. And if they don't have those, then it's a problem.
Well, hopefully they're either working on those now or have already installed some of those.
Exactly. They have.
But this is a coaching staff I want to give the benefit of the doubt to. Because they seem like the type of coaching staff that is, like you said, they're grading every play, which maybe that's something, I don't know. You think that's something that's common across the league and we're just giving it too much?
I think it is, because, we hear about the loafs and the scores, and I think that matters to the players.
Right.
I think that
drives
it teaches
them.
And it motivates them too. Me personally, when I played football, I played my best when my coach was on me, being like,
and Fields talked about that.
You can do better. I know you can do better. What are you doing? Why can't you get around that guy? Why is this guy getting around you? Because I played both sides, offense and defensive line.
Legend.
I was most improved player of the year, by the way. Most improved player of the year.
Is that an underhanded insult, or is it?
No, it was because I was a defensive lineman, and by the way, this is this is Pop Warner. Okay, this wasn't even high school because I wasn't allowed to play high school football because I broke my femur. My mother wouldn't let me play,
and now you still can do podcasts,
and I still love the game. I was a defensive lineman. We had multiple injuries to the offensive line. I had to step over and learn how to play offensive line.
Okay, so
they gave me most improved because I played both ways and had to learn a new position in the middle of the season.
That's a lot to go process.
Let's just say none of that carried over to the next season because I got fat and I got lazy. And this was way before I was athletic.
There you go. So I mean, the Bears earned the right from us. I think they've earned the right from us Bears fans to be excited about this game. I hope it's not like a slap in the face, back to reality type of thing. But
even if
they haven't been blown out in any game.
No.
They seem like they're well coached. And Dallas can't possibly feel great about, like you said, Dak's just coming back.
Right.
He didn't look tremendously wonderful.
No.
Questions with Zeke's health and his production, to be honest, and prior to the injury.
We're also talking, they have opposite of Chicago, they have a fantastic wide receiver group, right? Even without having Amari Cooper. CeeDee Lamb is amazing. Michael Gallup is back. He's a guy I wanted here in Chicago at one point.
I was going against him in 2 fantasy leagues, and I didn't know if he was like injured or something. He put up a goose egg, I want to say. And then late in the game, he was out there.
Yeah.
So I would have to take a closer look. What's going on there with him?
I didn't watch the actual game.
Okay.
But
I can pull it up real quick, see what his stat line was.
But Chicago is proving to have a great secondary. Okay? This goes back to the Ryan Poles conversation. He fixed a major problem on this team with taking those 2 guys. And as much as I want George Pickens, just because I love George Pickens, let me tell you, George Pickens has some really bad character issues and could be the next Antonio Brown for all we know. Okay?
Good comp.
So it's probably best that they didn't take George Pickens. And I'm going to get over it because they're going to take Jordan Addison in the draft this year, and that's my guy right now. It could completely change by the time we get to draft season.
Not that good of a pick.
But there's 4 guys that I would take in the first round at the receiver
There's
position,
a lot
and
at
he's
that
one
position.
of them.
There's a lot at that position.
But yeah, the Bears have a really good secondary, and I think that they're good enough to at least limit their production. We saw it with Justin Jefferson. He started out hot. They figured out how to stop him. Had like 28 yards in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
These are the things that I think that they can do to, if not win, at least keep it close.
So Michael Gallup last game, and I'm only looking at just a simple box score. It doesn't tell me how many snaps, anything like that. 2 targets, 0 catches, obviously 0 yards. So, I mean, again, your point being, though, this is a very talented roster.
Yes.
Obviously, you compare the 2. Dallas has more talent. Dallas, even at home, or especially at home, they've been known to not always play up to their ability or play down to their opponent, however you want to look at it. And I would say the Bears are developing a reputation maybe to do the opposite. Yeah. You down your leg and lose to the Commanders in a game where that was the second time, because we felt the same way for Houston, where we went into it like, you are the better team. Yeah. And you're at home and you can. So they do that, but then you play a heck of a game against New England. Not saying they're a great team, but it was a great challenge. Yes. And you were in it with Giants, and I don't know. They're a very surprising 6-1, but maybe they're somewhat legit.
Brian Dable.
All the what ifs, but I like the guy we got. I like the team we got. They're on a hot streak, so let's see how far they can ride this. Again, if they get blown the heck out, that doesn't change last week. Maybe it changes because the game will be the day before, or 2 days before, I should say, the trade deadline.
Yep, 2 days.
We didn't really talk about it, but does Poles have more up his sleeve? Maybe this next game has a lot to do with it. Because if you play well and you go and you're now back to 500, 4-4,
or even if you play well and you're still 3-5, but you see that there's stuff there enough to where you don't want to trade a David Montgomery and mess up your 2-headed monster.
Yeah. The more we talk about it, I know we both don't necessarily think he'll be on the team long term. I think trading him mid-season like this could be a mistake just because you don't have that next guy. I mean, Ebner hasn't shown enough. I mean, you have the next guy in Herbert, but you need 2.
Yeah, they would have to promote Darrington Evans off of their practice squad, who is Darrington Evans.
Exactly. And we already broke it down. Check out our short on Robert Quinn. You had guys where not only who can come in and replace him, you're excited to see what they can do.
For sure.
And you don't think it's going to cost you in the short term, and you definitely think it'll help you in the long term.
Yep.
So, all right. So we are going to tune in, although you're traveling. We don't have to do this on the pod. We don't have to figure it out, make any promises we can't keep.
We'll figure that out. It's either going to be later that night or it might be the next day.
See, and that's the thing is, we did this one a couple days later. I liked that all the other ones, we like got them out right away, and it was like our initial gut feeling.
Yeah.
But like this had a different feel too, where you got to digest it and maybe come with some takes that were a little different. I wouldn't have probably said my two favorite rookies were Eberflus and Poles if we were doing a post-game reaction.
And as much as we heard me yelling about other players, Velus Jones dropping punts multiple times in a heated negatory way, I guarantee you that I would have been heated in a meatball positive way had we recorded it immediately after this game.
And the whiskey had really
kicked
taken
in.
hold, because I think I'm gonna say you were drinking your whiskey, but you probably weren't eating enough.
Yeah,
because the chips were really crunchy. So like I was only eating chips, and I kept having to lean like way to the side so the mic wouldn't pick it up. And I don't know, maybe the mic picked them all up, but. So anyway, I think this was also a good technique to wait a day or two and get our response. So, Hallis Huddle listeners, whenever we put out an episode, hopefully you're enjoying what you're hearing.
Well, and to be honest, that's what the comment section's for. That's what our review section is for. And I'd really love to see more reviews. So be critiqued. I would love a 5-star review every single time, but if you want to give us a 3 or 4-star and tell us what we need to do wrong, change, then maybe go back and increase it to a 5 if we take your critiques. I love constructive criticism. It's how I've always improved myself.
Yeah.
So get out there, put some reviews out, get some rankings in there, and leave comments on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, we didn't do any special segments this time.
No,
we tried to do different segments throughout. So if you like a certain segment and want to plug, tell us to try it again or do it again, we'd love to hear that. If you really didn't like a segment or don't think it made any sense, tell us that too. We might listen. I don't know. Maybe we won't.
I mean, I read most of my comments when I write my articles. I just don't comment on them. So again, I like that stuff.
Yeah. We've already made certain promises, so now I feel like I have to go back and listen. But we said we're going to check back in at the halfway point.
We're not
this game. No, I'm just saying.
Okay.
But this game is the 8th game in a 17-game season. So technically, 8.5 would be the halfway point. So we could either next episode or the one after that start to review the halfway through the season.
Yeah, I think we got to go.
Oh, because the bye week is on the other half or something.
Well, it's on the other half, but I almost feel like we got to wait until after the trade deadline.
Okay, that's
so
fair.
Like that following game after the trade deadline.
I mean, I was thinking of just one take that's on my mind that I know we said we were going to revisit has nothing to do with the trade deadline, because I will lose all faith in Ryan Poles if he trades Justin Fields.
Well, yes.
Anyway, we'll come back to that one.
All right. This was fun.
It was.
It's late.
Yeah, it is.
I appreciate your guys' time. Bear down as always.
Go Bears.
Good job.
You too, man. So